Guitar tips, just the tips, just for you, guitar tips. Hello and welcome to Guitar Tips. My name is Adam Levy, and this is my weekly video blog series. I post a new guitar tip here each and every Friday, and that's about the size of it. Welcome. In this week's guitar tip, I want to continue on a theme that I've been exploring in the past couple of tips. The two tips previous to this one are let's demystify diminished chords, and let's demystify diminished chords some more. And I actually got a comment on one of those, I can't remember which one, saying, hey, I'm enjoying this kind of exploration of this kind of harmony. How about doing a tip demystifying the minor 7 flat 5 chord, also known as a half-diminished chord. So this week's guitar tip will be, let's demystify the half-diminished chord. Let's demystify the half-diminished chord, also known as minor 7 flat 5. So first I'm just going to play a few of these chords so we're clear on what the sound of it is and what the shape of it is. Let's say E minor 7 flat 5. So I'm going to play this voicing here. Pretty common voicing for E minor 7 flat 5. That's E, B flat, D, and G. That's root flat 5, and then the minor 7 and the minor 3rd. You can play that same voicing on the middle 4 strings at frets 7, 8, 7, 8. Down here we were 2, 3, 3, 3. And another pretty common voicing is E, D, G, B flat. That's root, minor 7, minor 3, flat 5. And that same voicing could be played up here, 12th fret, and we skip the A string, 12, 12, 12, 11. So really just two different organizations of notes. That's one organization, and that's another organization. And for both of those, you could also, or for all of those, you could work out different inversions on various string sets, which I would encourage you to do. So I'll do a little bit of that. This one, if we take it up the same string set, and what I mean by that is you have to know what the notes of the chord are. So E minor 7 flat 5 is E, G, B flat, and D. That's in alphabetical order from the root. And if we just look at what these notes are in this voicing and move each one up the same string to the next chord tone, E, the next highest chord tone is G, B flat, the next highest chord tone is D, D, the next highest chord tone is E, and G, the next highest chord tone is B flat. So we'll go from here to here, and if you continued that same process, you'd also get this voicing and this voicing, and then you'd be back where you started. So and if you did that on the middle strings, you would get and this bottom string set you'd get. So I'm not going to stop to show all those. You can work those out in your own time, and of course once you do, you should learn them in all the different keys. And you also might want to work on some arpeggios, so you can play a more melodic version of chords. So one position that's pretty easy to play out of would be, I'm up here at the 7th fret, I'm going to go E, G, B flat, D, E, G, B flat, D, and those fret numbers are 7, 10, 8, 7, 9, 8, 6, 10. And you could work that out in a couple of different positions, and then you can start to hear the melodic possibilities just using chord tones without really getting into any other notes. But we will eventually in this tip get to what some of the other notes might be, or what some of the other notes are that we can use. You know what I mean. Okay, so that's the sound and the shape a little bit of what minor 7 flat 5 chords or half-diminished chords are. So far we're just using E as our tonic. But let's now talk about how they appear in chord progressions in songs. There's 3 common places that we see minor 7 flat 5 chords. One is as a 2 chord in a minor key chord progression. So if we're in D minor and we wanted to do a 2-5-1, the 2 chord would be E minor 7 flat 5, and then A7 D minor. So there we go. If you wanted to voice lead it, you could go from E minor 7 flat 5 to A7, keeping the G on top and the E on the bottom, and then go to D minor. So that's the voice-led version, and the just common chord version could look something like that. So that's one way we see a minor 7 flat 5 chord come up in functional harmony. Another way is as a 2 chord in a major key, but not going all the way as being part of a 2-5, but just sort of a way of let's say we're in the key of D. Kind of a nice sound. I think of that really as a kind of a 4 minor chord. It's sort of a G minor in the key of D, which just happens to have E in the bass. And you can see there's a G minor triad here, B flat, D, G, and that's the 4 minor in D. I'll do it in another key just so you can hear. C. So that's just a nice kind of mysterious, suspended, dark sound that we can use. Sometimes even if it's not written into the tune, if you have a couple of bars to kill just vamping on one, you might throw that in just as a way to have a colorful placeholder until you get back to one. And then we'll stay in the key of C for a moment. Another common usage of half-diminished chords is on the sharp 4 of whatever key you're in. So we're in C, and I can go to F sharp minor 7 flat 5, and that will often lead to this kind of. Let me start up here. It's maybe easier to see where it's going. It's just a kind of chromatic motion where you've basically got this. So this F sharp and A, you can harmonize as a F sharp half diminished, and you could harmonize F and A flat either as F diminished seventh or F minor sixth is nice. And then this E and G you could harmonize as E minor 7 or a C chord with first inversion. And maybe E flat diminished 7th. Or A flat 7 if you like that chord that I showed you in the demystify diminished tips. And then D minor 7, G 7 and C. So that's just a harmonized chromatic line. You hear something like that in the Beatles song Blackbird. You also hear something like that in the kind of standard blues turnaround. Like this stuff, if you harmonize it, here we're just using kind of a simple harmony, but that's B and D, which I could do. We're in E, so let's see. You see what I mean? I'm maybe stretching it to say that this is the same as, but the principle is the same. We're just we take this chromatic thing and it voice leads very naturally, so your ear will accept it even if it breaks some typical harmony rules. Your ear goes, yeah, I hear where that's going, and your ear will hear where that's going because the inside stuff is just moving chromatically, which is great voice leading. So those are the three kind of common places that we see minor 7 flat 5 chords used. There's other places too, but I would say that those are the top three that you'd see in jazz or bossa nova music or all kinds of stuff from the 50s and 60s. That's really where minor 7 flat 5 chords start to become pretty common. Now, you may also know that if we're in the key of C and you harmonize the scale using 4-part chords, there's a B minor 7 flat 5 when we get to the 7th note. So this is C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G 7, A minor 7, B half diminished, and C major 7. So that exists in the key of C, but we don't really use it as part of the functional harmony. It's just really a passing chord to get us from 6 to 1. So if you can, try and not worry about that one too much. It's like Pluto. It exists, but it doesn't really have planetary status. We're really talking about using it in the ways I've described as a part of a 2-5-1. As part of a kind of a dark suspended sound, or as part of this kind of descending thing. Now, if it's part of a minor 2-5, that's the part that we're likely going to have to deal with in a solo. Or even, actually the first two uses, you might want to know how to solo over it. This other thing, that could take a whole tip to explain how to maneuver through all that. So let's just focus, in the interest of time, how we're going to deal with the first two uses. So if this is a minor 7 flat 5 and we're going to D minor here, you could play D harmonic minor over this because that's just the harmonic minor of the key center. Or you could use just over this E minor 7 flat 5. What some people like to use is the E Locrian natural 2. It's hard to say, but easy to understand. It's E, F sharp, G, A, B flat, C, D, E. Looks a lot like a G melodic minor scale starting on E, and that's what it is. E, F sharp, G, A, B flat, C, D, E. So and then A7, you can play whatever you like to play over that, and then back home to D. And you would use probably that same scale choice, or at least I would. I'd go with the E Locrian natural 2 if we were using it over this kind of sound. I'm back on the D now. Now I'm on this sound again. Hopefully you can hear I'm just switching back and forth between a D major scale and an E Locrian natural 2 scale. I wanted to touch on one other thing. This tip is now, I think, going to be a longer one. There's no turning back, so I may as well show you the one other thing I wanted to talk about, which is that there's kind of a neat trick that works if you're using this in the context of a minor 2-5-1. If you play E minor 7 flat 5, and I'm using this really standard voicing, but you could use another voicing if you like. For the A7 altered chord, which is the next chord that we want to play, you can take the same shape up 3 frets, and then that becomes A7, G, C sharp, F, B flat. So you've got the flat 13 and flat 9. So, and then if you go up 4 more frets, you've got D minor 6 with the 6th on the bottom. B is the 6th here. So we've got really kind of easy trick to play through minor 2-5s with one voicing. And I could do that on this string set. So again, E minor 7 flat 5, A7 altered. It's got flat 13 and flat 9. And then D minor 6. We could do it with this voicing. Or this voicing. Well, I'm going to run out of neck here. But if we did it in another key, let's say we were in F minor, I could go G minor 7 flat 5. C7 altered, and this is F minor with the 6th on the bottom. That's a little low. Here's another way to do it. You could go G minor 7 flat 5, C7 altered, and F minor. What I'm doing here is I'm making a false harmonic on the bottom note. So it makes this D actually sound here, and a little more palatable to have the 6th in the middle of the chord rather than way down at the bottom. And now I wanted to talk just a little bit about how to extend the minor 7 flat 5 harmony so you're not just locked into those 4 notes. You have 3 other notes that we can borrow from that Locrian natural 2 scale. We can borrow the 4 or the 11. We can put that on top. That's a nice sound. We could put the natural 9 on top. So this is E minor 7 flat 5, but with the 9 on top instead of the 3. And if you really want to hear them both, you could put the G here. And now you've got E minor flat 5, minor 7, and natural 9. You could do this voicing, which gives you E, B flat, D, F sharp, A. Now I've got 11 on top and 9. That's just really a D triad with E and B flat beneath it. There's another way to get that is up here, D triad with B flat and E here, or here, D triad with B flat and E. So that's E half diminished. And again, you could use that same thing, the up 3 frets and up 4 frets trick. So we could go E minor 7 flat 5, A7 altered, D minor major 7, 6, 9, I don't know, colorful stuff. So that was I threw a whole bunch of notes in a pile there, but the basic idea is that over minor 7 flat 5, you're not stuck with just these 4 notes. You could use the 11 on top, you could use the flat 6 on top, or flat 13. You could use the natural 9. And then you could also have things moving around. You could go, things don't have to be locked into a grip. You could have 9 to 3 and then move up. Or see what I'm doing there? I'm going 11 to 3. And you could combine them. And that could work on any string set, just so that you get things moving, so you're not locked into just grip and grip and grip. Lots of information. Hopefully not too much information. Hopefully this is a tip that you can spend some time with. You've got a week until the next tip, and you've also got the rest of your life. So if you have any questions about this guitar tip or any guitar tips, you could ask in the comment section down below. You could also send me an email at guitartips@adamlevy.com. And I want to mention 2 more things before we wrap up this very, very long guitar tip. One is that I do teach private lessons on Skype. A couple people have emailed to ask about that, so I just wanted to let you know that that's something that is available. If you're interested, just write to me at guitartips@adamlevy.com, and we can work out the details. Also want to mention that Guitar Tips is sponsored by Martin Guitar Strings. This is an electric guitar, as you may have noticed. So I'm not using my Martin strings on this guitar, though I'm curious what would happen if I did. But I guess I'm not that curious because I put electric guitar strings on my electric guitar. But on my acoustics, I really like the Martin Retro series. I use a light gauge with a 12 on top, and I just really dig them. I hope that you will check them out and dig them as well. Okay, let's demystify half-diminished chords. Can we consider the half-diminished chords demystified now? If not, let me know what other questions you may have. Thank you. For Guitar Tips, I'm Adam Levy. Stay tuned and take good care.